Are all taxes legitimate taxes? I can't tell you how often I've been in the situation where I have argued against this tax or that tax as not being legitimate, only to be reminded, as if this settles the matter, that Jesus commands us to render unto Caesar the things that are Caesar's. As if that settles the question. There are two reasons why that is not apropos to the question. First of all, we're trying to establish what is Caesar's. Of course we should render unto Caesar what is Caesar's. The question is, are we supposed to render unto Caesar what is ours? Or what is the Lord's? Secondly, Jesus is giving us a command about what we're responsible to do, not a command about what is legitimate for the government to do. There are all sorts of things that the government does that are wrong, wicked, evil, terrible, nasty, unkind, unbiblical, unchristlike, that we're supposed to submit to. We only disobey Caesar when Caesar commands us to do what God clearly forbids, or forbids us to do what God clearly commands. So yes, pay your taxes, of course. Now, let's ask the question, what is an appropriate, legitimate tax? Well, I've got two ways to answer that question. First is this. The Bible describes for us what the legitimate function of the state is. Caesar has been given the power of the sword. The function of the state is, according to Romans 13, to punish evildoers. And I have no quarrel whatsoever with paying taxes or anyone else paying taxes to finance the calling that God has given the state. But how much do you think it costs? What percentage of the taxes that we pay do you think actually goes to the punishment of evildoers? I like to help people understand the biblical limitations of government this way by simply asking, can you do this with a sword? If you can't do it with a sword, government's not supposed to be doing it. You don't teach with a sword, which is one more reason why government shouldn't be involved in education. You don't worship with a sword, which is why government shouldn't be involved in the church. You don't cook with a sword, which is why the government shouldn't be handing out food. Government exists to punish evildoers, according to the Word of God. But there's another standard that I think is helpful to help us answer the question. The first one, again, very simply, any tax above and beyond that which is necessary to finance the limited legitimate calling of the government is an illegitimate tax. One we should pay in accordance with Romans 13, but nevertheless illegitimate. Secondly, remember when the children of Israel want a king like all the other nations. Samuel's very disappointed. He's hurt. God says, they're not rejecting you, Samuel. They're rejecting me. And we're going to give them a king like all the other nations. But I want you to go and give them this warning. Tell them this is what's going to happen when they have a king like all the other nations. That king is going to draft all their sons and send them off to war. He's going to draft all their daughters and have them come work in his palace. And this evil, rapacious, power-hungry, money-grubbing, just like all the other kings in the world, king is going to tax you at a rate of 10%. Acting as though he's God himself. That's the warning. That's not an invitation. It's not an encouragement. The warning is that this evil, totalitarian king is going to take 10% of the wealth of the population. While we live in a day when government at all levels in the United States, on average, takes from us 40% of the wealth that we produce. 4 times as much as what God warned Israel they were going to get with a king like all the other nations. That's a decent standard. Anytime you're above 10%, you're in very, very dangerous waters. So applying the Bible to that question, I think we can find out or discover that what we're dealing with is well beyond what's legitimate.